The primary goal of our study was to examine the effects of perceptual SID task design on performance by listeners. Following the collection of listener responses across different SID perceptual tasks, our second goal was to examine their relationships with scores generated by a custom ASV system. As the number of stimuli per task differed, it was important to establish a baseline for which to compare participant performance. For each task, we performed multiple simulations of randomly selecting the correct response after 10,000 trials. We took these simulated calculations per task into account to calculate an adjusted score. Mixed ANOVA procedures were carried out on the mean adjusted score per trial, with the task type as the between subject factor and speaker stimuli as the inter-subject factor. To examine whether there were any relationships between participant responses and acoustic features found in the speech recordings, we obtained objective results by means of an ASV system that relies on X-vector speaker embeddings and probabilistic linear discriminant analysis, or PLDA. We developed two ASV systems with the Caldi toolkit on different datasets. The first model was trained on the LibreSpeech dataset, while the second ASV model was trained on the Vox Celeb dataset. The ASV models were used to obtain PLDA scores for evaluated pairs of speech segments, as outlined on the slide. For both female and male speaker stimuli, we found main effects for mean adjusted score on task type. For female speaker stimuli, post-hoc t-tests revealed that participants had significantly higher average scores when performing the SD task when compared to the TL task. For male speaker stimuli, post-hoc t-tests revealed that participants had significantly higher average scores when performing the SD and cluster task when compared to the TL task. The following describes our results from applying Pearson correlation procedures to subjective and objective metrics. For both TL and cluster tasks, accuracy positively correlates significantly to likelihood scores generated by both ASV models. In general, these findings suggest likelihood scores generated by the ASV models provided a good measure to the perceptual performance of participants tasked to identify speakers, as an increase in mean adjusted score correlated to an increase in the similarity between selected speech recordings. For the SD task, although we observed a significant negative correlation between response time and adjusted score, we reported weak correlations between subjective and objective metrics. Taking all of these observations into account, the most promising results came from the cluster task. A key distinction of the cluster task was that it allowed users to dynamically engage with the speech materials in highly personal ways, while the other tasks limited unique expression. While we observed significant differences between tasks, in general our findings revealed that participants performed quite well. These findings demonstrate that despite the complexity of the task, participants were capable of giving correct responses at a higher rate than randomly making selections. The development of different tasks provided us with the means to evaluate the effect of context, or rather task design, and its influence on listeners making responses to similar speech materials. Thank you again, and we look forward to responding to your questions and comments.